Hello and welcome back to another installment in the series where I read what authors have written about ENFJ types and the extroverted feeling preference. I'm Doris, I have ENFJ preferences, and I'm also a type and relationship coach. Today's book is Life Types, Understand Yourself and Make the Most of Who You Are by Sandra, Krebs, Hirsch and Jean Kummerow. And this is what it looks like. And they have a lot of information for each type. I'm going to read the living portion and the loving portion. I'm not going to read the leading, leisure and laboring and stuff because this channel or my focus is really on type and relationships. So here we go. ENFJs chose the following preferences: extroversion, intuiting, feeling, and judgment. In general, ENFJs are lively and enthusiastic facilitators who apply warmth and vision to helping people and meeting their needs. They are aware of people's aspirations and develop plans of action to make those aspirations into reality. They like organization and closure. They are at their best facilitating situations that require interpersonal sensitivity. Yeah? ENFJs are tolerant and appreciative of others, seeking involvement with them in life's tasks. They're able communicators who are liberal and showing appreciation for others. Now, a couple of things. If I'm being honest, the lively and enthusiastic facilitator who apply warmth. Okay, so if I'm working and facilitating a group, I tend to bring some energy to it. The lively and enthusiastic is definitely going through phases. I'm not always upbeat, for the record. I also get the odd down day here or there. Tolerant and appreciative of others. The tolerant piece, I want to just be very honest and call myself out that I have some strong opinions. Sometimes they are being tested. In the grand scheme of things, I would say live and let live. I fully believe that everybody should live the life they want to lead. And I can be tolerant as long as you are being tolerant of me. I have no tolerance for people who are curtailing other people's rights. Living. ENFJ children want life to be cooperative, friendly, harmonious, and lively. I didn't like fights. Everybody just being happy would be great. They're often responsible children because they like to please others and meet their needs. A memory just popped into my head. When I was younger, we lived in a village with working farms all around. My neighbor across the street, her grandpa always threatened to put the dog in the bin, and I would always say, no, take me instead. That was funny. In doing for others, they usually find satisfaction for themselves. They are upset by conflict and disharmony. They are pleasant, exuberant, and talkative. They enjoy social interaction. I don't think as a kid I had an idea of how chatty I was. One ENFJ recalls her grandmother cautioning her not to tell all that she knew to everyone that she knew. The ENFJ did not realize that she was too vocal until her grandmother pointed this out to her. She felt she was proceeding naturally and letting everyone know what was important to her. Yeah, I can see that. If your parents go shush all the time, like if you're getting this downward kind of keep it down message a lot, and I got that a lot. ENFJ teenagers are constantly on the go, participating in many, many things. Actually, go back to the shushing thing. My mother also has extroversion preferences, so it's not just introverted parents who try to suppress an extroverted kid's energy. I think there's also just, I don't know if the word is reverse ageism, but this whole thing of children should be seen, not heard. That might be different in the later generations, but I'm a Gen Xer, so in the 70s when I was a kid, we were definitely not encouraged to be all out there, and this whole be your whole self and be authentic, that wasn't a notion until I want to say the 2000s. Teenagers are constantly on the go, participating in many things, sure, although it depends on the kind of things. I was part of an orchestra. I was part of a volleyball group. I stayed home and read a lot. When I was a teenager, MTV came out, so there was definitely some TV watching as well. They enjoy a wide variety of activities, not only for that variety, but also for action and opportunity to be with others. I always liked hanging out. If the ENFJ teenager is not involved in something, it's simply because he or she does not have the time or because the activity is of little seeming importance. ENFJs love being involved with friends, clubs, and any activities that let them be with others. Another memory just popped into my head. We had 2 youth centers in my little town. One was in a church adjacent basement, and I think that's where we went during our confirmation time. For 2 years you had to go to classes before you get confirmed, like between 12, 13, 14. There was another youth center for kind of older teenagers. I'm not sure I went there a lot. I was also a bit of a nerd. I wasn't super popular in my teenage years either, so that might have something to do with it. An ENFJ teenager enjoyed playing several instruments but did not particularly like the trombone. However, that was the instrument she played in her school band. When asked why she was playing the trombone, she responded that was what they needed. No one else would play it. They needed someone who could read music well, and they knew I would be good, not just another body, so I decided I would help out and play it. I'm not sure if as a teenager I would have been that selfless to do something that I don't enjoy just because other people needed it, like not for an ongoing task, if you know what I mean. Like if you commit to a band, you're committed to rehearsals and gigs, so that is a considerable time investment. I would do something that I didn't want to do. If the end is in sight, then I can do it, but if it's like a ongoing thing, I don't know if I would have done that. The ENFJ teenager may also get heavily involved in activities relating to school spirit. That's an American thing. It definitely wasn't a German thing when I was growing up, or I wasn't aware of it. He or she may be active in pep rallies and in raising funds for school projects such as uniforms of the band or the football team. No, other countries fund education in different ways than America does, so sorry, judgy, but yeah, that's an American thing. ENFJs are often voted most congenial or nicest person in their class. I would not have been. I was a teacher's pet and people didn't really like that. Additionally, they may serve as leaders in school activities. They are able to focus on the interpersonal nature of the school and to speak eloquently to others about the school's best values. Again, not aware of having to take responsibility for the school as an institution in any way, because it was the only school in the district, so it was that. ENFJs encourage not only school spirit but individuals as well. ENFJs are likable because they notice what is good about people. Encouraging others, yes. Although I'm noticing that a lot of these high school memories are kind of tinted in a bit of a negative light, but I still like to encourage people. As young adults, ENFJs set goals early on, both in the personal and professional realms. Yes, they follow through diligently and usually attain what they seek. The personal goals, I don't know if you can call them goals as such. I had ideas of what I thought my life was going to look like, but then life happened and looked different, and I adapted and went with the flow. Like I never thought that I was going to go abroad and live abroad, let alone in 5 different countries. I didn't have a goal. My professional goals were to be a secretary and get married and have a house and 2.5 kids and a dog and a garden, and until I was on the beginning of that path, and it turns out that I was intensely unsatisfied and unhappy, especially with the secretarial stuff. So that did not work out for me, but maybe it does for others. Often the goals they've set to do with making society a better place for people. That is definitely happening now, and it started happening in my 30s, a lot more so. The older I get, the more, not pressing, but the more settled I think I feel in being, like wanting to be a light in the world. That's the phrase that keeps popping back in my mind. One ENFJ was very interested in children's education. She began by majoring in elementary education, completing her degree a year earlier than her classmates, in part so she could marry her high school sweetheart. She then supported him through dental school and taught several years beyond that. She taught part-time when their children were young, and when both children were in school, she proceeded toward her ultimate goal, setting up her own school. She now operates a very successful private religious school that reflects her values. That's amazing. Growing up in Europe in the 70s and 80s and coming into young adulthood in the 80s and 90s, I was not aware of this movement to follow your passion and follow your dream and do what lights you up. I don't think that kind of vocabulary was in the ether until years later. I don't think I became aware of any of it until I moved into the United States. So the fulfilling of your potential and this really digging in and like your heart's desire, that just, I didn't get that in Northern Germany at all. I do remember once I started learning about this concept of you should do what lights you up, not just what pays the bills and what people expect from you. Like, you have your own will, you can do what you would like, you have agency. Once I began to grasp that concept, first of all, amazing. There was a part of me that was definitely missing. I was not, because jealousy involves 3 people and you want something. So I was envious of people who had this goal. I'm happy for you. If you knew what you wanted to do with your life from when you were young, that's so amazing. I wish I had that. I didn't have that. And I'm still wondering what it is. I still feel like it should be clearer. When I hear those things, I'm always a little bit unsure if that applies to me. ENFJs may sometimes feel pulled between financial gain and spiritual gain. I mean, yes, and also I think that's not unique to ENFJs. For example, one ENFJ was a talented artist who was able to come up with designs for t-shirts and sweatshirts. However, he did not like the financial parts of the business and really wanted to concentrate on the designs and making people happy wearing his work. He ultimately found a partner who would spend the time on the administrative side of the business so that he could concentrate his efforts on the creative function. Oh, that I do resonate with. I also am not a fan of the admin, but it has to be done. And the money side, it's so annoying that there is still the misconception that artists have to be poor, or that spiritual counselors, coaches, or psychologists should not make money because the pursuit of their passion should be reward enough. We live in a world where you need money. It buys you freedom. Artists should get paid for their work. Therapists should get paid for their work. Coaches and spiritual advisors and everybody should get paid a fair living wage for their work, because it is work. Even though it is a vocation, and even if you love doing it, it doesn't mean you don't deserve to get paid for it. ENFJs enjoy group activities and often rise to positions of leadership, particularly if the group activity is focused around meeting the future needs of people. Many ENFJs take their religious and community values seriously and want others to do the same. Loyalty, commitment, and responsibility are important values to ENFJs, even as children. Okay. So there is a couple of mentions of religiosity at this point, and I know from just, the grapevine and osmosis that ENFJs apparently make good priests and clergymen, or, clergy women. Not for me. There's this thing where religious values, I mean, there are so many religions, right? Like, who am I to say which one is right? So I'm definitely in the agnostic field. The values, it'd be difficult for me to square away the hypocrisy of, well, my values are right, your values are wrong. Religion is always a bit of an iffy topic for me. But the group activities and meeting future needs of people, absolutely. I think I've mentioned before in another video that I was volunteering at Toastmasters and in the Association for Psychological Type chapters, where I was living. In adult life, ENFJs often settle into organizations that have a values orientation, or they will find a spot in an organization that is centered on values or people's needs. Or they will start their own businesses and do what feels good to them. ENFJs make responsible spouses, employees, and community members. Most ENFJs enjoy public speaking and seem to have a way with words. They are often asked to present the position of the groups to which they belong. One ENFJ said she really had to work to present ideas concisely. She was perfectly willing to speak extemporaneously, but was likely to be verbose when doing so. Absolutely. Why use 2 words when you can use 10? The groups, I think, actually in the previous paragraph, I wanted to go back to loyalty, commitment, and responsibility are important values to ENFJs, even as children. I would have to agree. I'm trying to think of examples of what was coming to mind. It's this whole loyalty and commitment piece, and I think I don't know about the commitment to relationships. There is this whole fidelity question and a different layer on top where a lot of it plays into it. Like commitment is great, but also to not be a doormat, right? There is a fine line, and I just want to be wary of it. As a kid, I had a few friendships. I was blindsided a couple of times by friendships ending in weird ways, and that's okay. Again, I think this is a little bit vague because there are a lot of other types who also are loyal, committed, and responsible. There's also the developmental piece where I think children in general are a little more trusting than an adult might be by virtue of not having had a lot of experiences and understanding how to be around other people and how to be in relationship with other people. Presenting ideas concisely, I mean, you're noticing I love a good waffle. So some ENFJs report that at midlife they seek situations for themselves where it is possible for them to turn inward. This often takes a structured form such as meditation, journaling, or in some cases even career changes. I currently have a 705 something day meditation streak. I am doing a little 28-day course where I do a little meditation or a visualization every morning, and then I pull a tarot card to go along with it. All of this stuff has started only in the last 5 to 10 years. In retirement, ENFJs are likely to want to settle geographically in an area where they have close personal relationships and or close personal ties to a specific organization. I'm nearly semi-retired now, and in a new place, I miss having friendships. It is a bit lonely not having people to hang out with beyond the house or the family. A specific organization, I don't know. I am looking for organizations now. Or maybe I should start one. The relationships and values that are important to the ENFJ become even more so in their retirement. Many ENFJs move from paid service work into voluntary service work in retirement, believing that it is necessary to help others. They fulfill this responsibility gladly. Yes, I've been volunteering before as well. ENFJs feel alive and get much pleasure from meeting the needs of others. In retirement, they may need to take care to meet their own personal needs as well and to relax and let others serve them. That is something that we'd like to look like we have our shit together, so we don't like to appear like we don't know what we're doing or that we need help. When I say we, I mean me. That's also something with age and with practice that has become a little easier. I think I'm definitely working on a bit of a balance there. Despite severe health problems in his retirement years, one ENFJ continually responded to his organization's desire for extra help. When asked why he kept appearing as a consultant in the office when he should have been home taking care of his own health, he responded firmly, "Because they need me." Yeah, this is what I would call an unhealthy boundary or an unhealthy sense of self-esteem, not dissing the person. It's noble and very generous, but if it is to the detriment of your own health, then you need to look at why that might be. And is there some martyrdom attached to it, and what do you expect to get in return? And also, again, this is very kind of work focused, although I think it will probably apply to family situations as well. That might resonate more with me. In the current climate, I'm recording this in the year 2025, we are, as a society, becoming more and more aware of how disposable employees are treated. So I think people's loyalty and commitment to organizations in terms of job corporations is definitely on a much more precarious, and rightly so, a much more realistic footing. I don't think nowadays you would put your company in before your health. That's just my opinion. I know I wouldn't. So there we go. The loving chapter. For the ENFJ, love means flowers, poetry, candlelight dinners. In other words, romance with a capital R. Well, I would say for the young ENFJ, perhaps. Not in later life and not after 20 years of relationship. When they first fall in love with an ideal perspective of what the relationship will be, and they fall deeply head over heels. I remember when I lived in Barcelona and I was taking the subway to work, I had crushes every day. The ideal, that's the intuition piece where it could be so great. ENFJs value commitment and loyalty and look for it from their partner. Again, To a certain point. I think these books were all written with a very mononormative stance. I did some research and I wrote a paper about the stigma and resilience against consensually non-monogamous people. The idea that one ring to bind them all, one partner to complete you and to be your one and only forever and ever. That used to be the story. That is still a lot of time the story that is being sold to us, and it is, in my experience, just not realistic. Anyway, so I would here say to go beyond the mononormative piece, let's define what commitment and loyalty means to us. Because you can be committed and loyal, for example, if you're also telling the truth and sharing things and not keeping secrets. The way that I work with my couple clients is you get to define what you want your relationship to look like. They typically enjoy activities with their partners that allow them to discuss the relationship and focus on what each person truly believes. This, I feel, was also more true when I was younger. I wanted to talk about the relationship and about why do you love me? Why am I special to you? Right? Like this. And again, I'm not sure if that was extroverted feeling or low self-esteem. With age, with development, with time served in the relationship, I think the focus changes a little bit. Not just on the relationship, but also supporting the partner. Like, what do you want to achieve and how can I support you in that? When commitments are broken, ENFJs become upset because they see the breakup as a personal reflection on them and because they have idealized the relationship. I can definitely see that. Again, more so in maybe my teens and early 20s, because the first question then becomes, what did I do wrong that they leave? Right? In my head, it was so nice. And then there's also a part of, why aren't they following the script? Like, I had all this laid out, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Since they are willing to put the time and effort into the relationship, they expect it will continue on as it was from the very start. I'm not sure if that is necessarily true, because we do love change and we do love growth. I wouldn't want things to stay the same. I would notice if we grow in different directions, though. Relationships have their ups and downs. The downs, however, are particularly hard on the ENFJ who does not manage disharmony well. Absolutely correct. Even the sense of there is tension, I would always rush to trying to fix it as soon as possible, talk about it. And there are other videos where I talk about my INTP husband and my relationship, how we learned to talk constructively when there was a conflict. Like, he will tell me when we talk about it because he needs time to think it out, and I will learn, because I am my own person and I can manage my emotions, to sit with the discomfort and let him have his process that works for him. Because if I try to push it or have him talk about something he's not ready to talk about, it will go sideways. So I know that in order to be effective in that particularly difficult conversation, I need to hold steady and just bear it. But I also need to know when we're going to talk about it. So I'm not just in limbo for an uncertain amount of time. An ENFJ woman was married 20 years to a lab director. She was initially attracted to him because he was scholarly. Oh yeah, I like a smart boy. And because he wanted his work to contribute to the well-being of others. She idealized him and their relationship, overlooking some of his other characteristics. His need for being alone, little interaction with people, and working on scientific experiments became wedges in the relationship. The ENFJ hungered for more verbal displays of affection, more affirmation, and more time together, because the ideal never met the reality, and because the ENFJ was able to idealize only so long, the relationship ended. This was especially difficult for the ENFJ, who valued loyalty, steadfastness, and commitment. If this was a couple who came into my coaching practice, I would encourage the ENFJ to look at differentiating herself from her partner. It sounds like there's a bit of codependency in this description. Needing a partner to validate you is fine. Needing a partner to constantly validate you, and as soon as they stop, you break off the relationship, is a flag. And that's definitely something to work on, because externalizing and abdicating responsibility for making yourself feel good, like expecting your partner to make you feel good, is, I don't know many cases where that is going to work. The current ideas about what constitutes psychological health and good, honest, authentic relating to another person would say that this is an outdated way to approach relationships. When scorned, ENFJs may be resentful, spiteful, and deeply hurt. Yes. And I do hold a grudge. I mean, I may not hold a grudge, but do I hold a grudge? I remember what's happening. Not an attractive quality, but also I'm not sure if that is if that is so unique to ENFJs. Nobody likes to get hurt, right? Everybody has an ego that wants to be treated fairly. Because they are acutely aware of emotional matters, they take the breakup of a relationship especially hard. They are willing to discuss the ending of the relationship with only a few others because they feel a sense of blame and shame for the relationship not working out. That is not my experience. When I broke up with people, or when people broke up with me, or when stuff just didn't work out the way I thought it would, I would discuss it with my friends for many weeks. I remember one breakup that took me many months to process, although I will also say eventually I became tired of myself talking about it. I also didn't want to bother my friends with it too much, so I did talk to counselors a couple of times. And yeah, I mean, if you're a young ENFJ in this situation and somebody just broke up with you, or a relationship just ended, relationships ending is a big deal. There's actually research into how it affects, like, literally your heart muscles. Like, this is the broken heart stuff. There is, I think, physiological evidence for it now. And it is a big deal, and it is important, and it needs to be processed. And also, it's not the end of the world. So, yeah. Feel a sense of blame and shame for the relationship not working out. I think that would depend on how the relationship didn't work out and why it didn't work out. Taking personal responsibility is important. Thinking back to the relationships I've had, I know that I've hurt a couple of people. I may not even have had the wherewithal at the time that I was hurting them, or how my actions or words were impacting them. I did it because I thought it was right. I thought it was the right thing to do, and being honest was the right thing to do. I don't know, in hindsight, what I would have done differently. I wouldn't have ghosted or just let it fizzle out. The truth is painful, but I think when it comes to ending a relationship, if you know you no longer want to be in it, the fairest thing to do is say so. At the same time, that can be very painful. Both things can be true. That is, as an adult, just something everybody learns. I know I hurt a couple of people. I know that a couple of people hurt me as well. And maybe that's just the way it goes. One of the things that I do believe is what I think Maya Angelou said. You're doing the best you can with what you know, and once you know better, you do better. That was Life Types, and what Sandra, Krebs, Hirsch, and Kummerow wrote about the ENFJ in life and in love. There are other parts of the chapters, so I encourage you to check it out. If you like this video, you're probably gonna like this one as well. See you there.